Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Kerry. Today I'll be showing you how to crochet a sprig of lavender, which was a request I received. When crocheted using 8-ply yarn and a 3mm hook, this large one, the size is 4 centimeters wide by 14 centimeters or 1.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches. This medium lavender, crocheted using 4-ply crochet cotton and a 1.5mm hook, is 2 centimeters wide by 8.5 centimeters or 1 inch wide by 3.25 inches. The small lavender, crocheted using 2-ply crochet cotton and a 1mm hook, is 1.5 centimeters wide by 7 centimeters or 3/4 inch wide by 2 3/4 inches. I'll be using Catona cotton, so the size will be a bit smaller than this large one. I'll tell you the size at the end of the video. I've also used the pattern to make stocks and similar type flowers to add to a garden. I've used a different amount of chain for each one. I've normally started the flowers closer to the end of the stem here, and sometimes I've started with 5 chain and sometimes 4 chain. You could also use green yarn and make ferns out of the same pattern. I'll be using Catona cotton. I've got 508 deep amethyst and 389 apple green. I'll be using a 2.5mm crochet hook, and I've got scissors and a darning needle to weave in the ends. Now we're starting on the stem. I've got my 389, the apple green, and we're going to work 21 chain. If you want to join it with the cotton, just leave a bit of a longer tail and work 21 chain. That's my 21 chain. Now we missed the first chain and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each remaining chain. A single crochet is a double crochet using UK terms. For a single crochet, put your hook into the chain and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with this yarn at the end through the 2 loops. So 1 single crochet in each remaining chain. And that's the single crochet worked. And we fasten off. and that's our stem. Now for the flowers, we'll be using the 508, the deep amethyst, and I like to have very little of the green showing of the stem apart from the end. So we're going to be working firstly on the side with our chain, the back of the chain, but we'll be working in the same place as we'll work down the other side. So in here, now we miss the first 5 stitches and join in the next stitch. Now our flowers consist of just chain and slip stitches. For the 5 end ones near the end of the stem, we'll have 5 chain, and then the next 5 will be 4, and then 3 at the end and around the top. So we start with 5 chain, and we slip stitch in the 5th chain from the hook, the first one worked. So put your hook into the stitch, bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on the hook, and then slip stitch into the same place as the join. We always slip stitch into the bottom of the flower we've just worked, and then slip stitch into the next stitch, and we make another flower of 5 chain. Slip stitch into the 5th chain from the hook, slip stitch into the stitch at the bottom of the flower, and slip stitch into the next stitch, and then work 3 more flowers the same with 5 chain. After the 5th, we slip stitch in the bottom of the flower and slip stitch in the next stitch. Now we're going to work 5 using 4 chain. Now it doesn't really matter if you lose count and have the wrong amount of chain or the wrong amount of flowers, because the flowers are all different. Now we work 4 chain, slip stitch in the 4th chain from the hook, slip stitch in the bottom of the flower, and slip stitch into the next stitch, and we'll work 4 more with 4 chain. Now I've just slip stitched in the bottom of the flower, slip stitch into the next stitch, Now we're going to start with 3 chain. Slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook, slip stitch in the bottom of the flower, and slip stitch into the next stitch, and just repeat that with 3 chain to the end of this side. Next, I slip stitch into the loop at the end of the stem and work 3 chain, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook, and slip stitch into the end again. And I'm going to work another flower into the end, so 3 chain, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook, and slip stitch in the end again, and then slip stitch in the 1st stitch down the other side. And then I'm going to work till I get to this one here with 3 chain, so that will be 4 more with 3 chain. Now that's the last with 3 chain. I slip stitch into the next stitch and I start working 4 chain. So I'll do 5 with 4 chain. and my last 5 will be worked with 5 chain. And at the end of the last one, we just slip stitch into the bottom of the flower. We don't slip stitch into the next stitch, and then we fasten off. And that's the lavender sprig done. I'll just weave in the ends and I'll be back to show you the finished lavender. There's the finished lavender. The size is 3 centimeters wide by 10 centimeters or 1 inch wide by 4 inches. If you've liked my video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest and Patreon. The details are in the description below, along with the details of my website where I have my patterns and the details of my Facebook group. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.